creating remarkable brand experiences. And I'm going to go ahead and invite, because we have a great group, and I want to maximize the time that they have with us. So I'm going to ask our wonderful panelists to join me and to please take a seat. Matt likes order, so he wants everybody to, are they coming? Please, come on out, thank you. Matt likes order, so he wants, yes, thank you. Warm, warm applause. He wants everyone to sit exactly where their photos are, but I like a bit of chaos, so I'm good with everyone taking a seat. Good. All right, so we have a good-sized group, so I'm going to run this with maximum time for our speakers, and I'm going to go ahead and have them introduce themselves, because you have a group who are, well, actually, I'll put their faces and names. You have a group of people who are on quite a journey building and accelerating a brand, and then we have some technology people here as well, 2 people from soft brands. It's really a great group to have this conversation. So what I'm going to do is start out with the first question for everybody and go through and have this be our way of introducing ourselves. And my first question is going to be, first, to say who you are, what you do, and tell us about your brand, because a brand is like a thumbprint, and it's a unique identifier. So please tell everybody who you are, what you do, and what your unique brand is. Rami, please start.
I'll start? Okay, tell me if I ramble. So I'm Rami. I'm the founder and CEO of Lifehouse. We are a brand, hotel management company, and software company all into one. And we've got about 90 hotels in North America that we operate or offer our services to. And our brand is a small component of that. And so one of the things we've been trying to work on is how to deliver great guest experiences across a multitude of different types of hotels, as we have very luxury hotels and very non-luxury hotels, to put it kindly. And our brand, Lifehouse, is about really responding to the locale. So, and we kind of take that approach with all of the hotels we operate, which is being really responsive to every locale and property, and software is a great tool to enable that.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you. Pascal.
Yeah, I'm Pascal. I'm the CEO of Thynk. We're a software company, and we focus on the next generation CRM and customer data platform powered by Salesforce. And we believe that brands have a lot of value to gain from enabling personalization of services at scale, and that requires a strong foundation, connecting the dots, like we mentioned this morning.
Yeah.
And that's what we do for different brands across the world. You know, we're a European company, but we operate in the US, Middle East, and Asia.
And I think it's important to note that, you know, the guest experience and that brand experience and how you connect the data is something that you're going to bring to this conversation, which is central to this. Naomi.
Hi, I'm Naomi Heaton. I'm Chief Executive and founder and co-owner of a completely new brand, hospitality brand called The Other House. We launched our first Other House in South Kensington, and then we're developing another site in Covent Garden and one in Belgravia. And essentially, it's a fairly new concept within the marketplace, a disruptor. I feel that most of what I've got to say has already been said today, which is probably a good thing rather than a bad thing, because we are a hybrid model. And essentially, my background was actually, and still is, I own a company which specializes in the long-term private rental sector. And what I could see over the years, this is in prime central London, how our tenants wanted to be more and more central. They wanted to have more and more aspirational design, and ultimately they wanted service on demand. And I said, actually, what we're doing is we're renting a bunch of hotel rooms. So why don't we give them a long-stay hotel? They have a great sense of place, have a great sense of locality, but they wanted more service, they wanted more experiences. And then I looked at the hotel end of the market, which is a very separate market in the UK, and I could see that with hotels you might have fantastic service, if anything nowadays, too much service, too formal, maybe too forced, but not a great sense of belonging. You're very much a guest, you're a visitor, you're in a revolving door. And so I looked at the market and I thought, well, why don't we mash it all together and combine what we can see with hotels, service departments, and long-stay rentals, and bring in one concept. And that's what we've done, and we've created what we've called a residence club. We don't call ourselves a hotel, and that combines club flats, so you have a micro-apartment, and we can also develop combinations of them, so you can have much bigger families staying, so you have your personal space with your club flat. You then have a private club, so we have a club which whenever you come and stay with us, you can come and use that club. And once we've opened our other properties in central London, you'll be able to use all of them. So you can work, you can rest, you can chill, you can see clients. And then we have some fantastic public areas, which I can talk about more later on, where we welcome the locals in. So it's a real hybrid of being able to be a resident, but also enjoying the locality and also having this club environment, that sense of place, that sense of belonging. So it is a genuinely hybrid model. And our guests are people who may stay for a day, a week, a month, or a year. And we only opened our doors in July, the first asset. And essentially, our aim is to have about 50% transient up to 2 weeks, and the rest could be with us from 2 weeks to 2 years, and that's the other 50% of the guests. And as previous speakers said, it creates a completely different environment, and it's all to do with making people feel at home, not in a homesy kind of way, because the interior design is spectacular. I'd actually asked whether we could show some visuals, but it didn't happen, so I'm talking about a concept without you being able to see it. But the interior design is fantastic, but you're in control, and we'll get on to tech and so forth, but you can do what you want, where you want, how you want, and you can stay with us for any length of time, or indeed, if you're one of those people who've moved out during COVID to the country, you can come a couple of days a week. It's completely flexible, and it's your place, your other house when you're in town. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of background, and yes, I can tell you an awful lot more,
Indeed.
Of course.
Naomi could have been on the previous panel because she truly is building a hybrid hospitality brand, but I fought to have her on this one because she's also building a brand at the same time from the ground up. Christina, can you tell us about Romantik Hotels?
Yes, of course. So my name is Christina, and I manage business development at Romantik Hotels. And in core, we are a marketing corporation. But you can say that we really build a group, a static group of family-owned hotels, mainly in the first class and upper segment. And we are quite an oldie in the brand, since the brand is already existing for 50 years now. So we celebrated the 50th anniversary last year. Yeah. And what we do is that we, of course, support the hotels in marketing, and as well sales and distribution teams, yes.
Yeah, and what makes a romantic hotel a romantic hotel?
Well, one of the main points is that they still need to be family-owned and operated. Yeah. And that is something, we spoke about that today, and I say this brings a real special feeling in it. So if you want to join the corporation, you definitely need to be able to adopt this kind of feeling and this feeling of hospitality that you want to bring to the customers.
Amazing, thank you. Simon.
Yeah, I'm
please.
Simon. I work for Design Hotels as a director of commercial strategy. So Design Hotels, for the ones that don't know it, we've been around for a while as well, since '93 actually, Design Hotels. As well, and it actually started off as a community of like-minded individuals was actually the plan when it was set out. So less of a hotel company. It was actually Klaus Sendlinger, a German guy who founded it in '93, who was interested in bringing people with the same interests together because he saw there was an appetite for a different type of hotels and more of an appetite for great design and people that share the similar values. So that's how Design Hotels was actually founded, and then grouped around basically interesting people that were independent owners that wanted to create interesting hospitality experience and aggregating them all under one platform.
So that's, and how would you identify a design hotel? Same as Romantik, what do you look for when a property comes into the portfolio?
Yeah, it's a certain concept that we're looking for, and it's often the people behind it. So I think one thing that characterizes it well is a campaign that has been done approximately 10 years ago was called Made by Originals, was a campaign that Design Hotels set out to do because it was really that original kind of mover and shakers of their, in their destination that we were interested in, or they were interested in building like interesting concepts together with us, basically.
Nice, really interesting. Because it sounds like for both of you, it's the people that help to make the people and the individual properties rather than a singular brand experience. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I think we talked about trust before, so I think that's the criteria that we had. So instead of going with guidelines and checklists and making sure everybody does what we want them to do, is we actually wanted to find the right people that we share the same values with, and then let them do what they do best and benefit from that.
That's great. That's wonderful. Right, we're already on to the next topic. There is this discussion as you've got a brand experience. When do you let the tech take the lead within the experience, and when do the people take the lead? Since we're very focused today on the integration of technology into the hospitality experience. What's tech-led? What's people-led?
I'll start again?
Yeah, go for it.
So I think it varies by group, of course. So our approach has been to essentially leverage software for the back office predominantly. We focus on kind of medium and small-sized hotels where you can't afford really well-rounded, expensive GMs and directors of sales and revenue management and finance and all that sort of stuff. So what we've tried to do is automate the back office and the complicated things to enable the front office folks to be great at delivering that hospitality experience, and so you can hire more for the brand and less for the resume. And so our view is automate the back office and give some tools to the front office to be great at delivering that unique brand experience, no matter what the brand it is.
And the Lifehouse brand itself, when I've read, because Lifehouse as a group of, so Rami, you've got both a management company and a portfolio called Lifehouse, which are predominantly in the US right now. But Lifehouse as a brand, when it's been written up in travel and leisure, it's known as tech-led. So the guests somehow feel that it is tech-led.
The press takes interesting approaches to writing about us, but I think our view to being tech-led is from the operations side, and so the tech to the guest is largely invisible. There is a mobile app to enable efficiency with booking, checking in, ordering room service, and that sort of thing. We have like an Apple TV app in the room instead of a phone, stuff like that. But most of the cool tech is in the back office and leveraging Muse.
Yeah. And Pascal.
Yeah, I will agree with what you just say about the back of the house functions, but I think it may be useful to go back to the shift we're all seeing in the market, because I think that's a driver for the tech that is just an enabler. And the shift is that the guest is removing from that material consumption, stay-driven approach to hospitality to more like experiential hospitality.
Yeah.
And that requires personalization of services. And the thing is, it's very difficult to personalize those services manually. So that being said, everyone needs a tech stack to enable that unique experience that we want to offer to guests during the stay, but throughout their life cycle, and to build that relationship with the brand, which will really unleash value. And in order to build such a stack, usually it always starts with data. Data is at the core, but data needs to be clean, and data needs to be actionable. And data needs to be actionable to feed into sales processes, operation processes, invoicing processes. And once that's done, and once data analytics is put on top of it to help the decision making, it's all down to the people. And why is it all down to the people? It's because the type of services and the way you unbundle your services today and the way you're going to do it tomorrow is likely to be completely different. So you need that strong data stack, that strong tech stack to enable a very, very versatile services to make sure that whatever you've built will be sustainable and will be able to help your customers and help that relationship you want to build with the brand through the lifelong journey you're building with your guest.
And you're really looking at this, you're coming into hospitality is a relatively newer industry.
Yeah.
Your background has not been in hospitality.
Yeah, what's interesting is like what we're witnessing today in our industry is exactly what happened 6 years ago for the luxury retail and the private banking. They went through that digital transformation where they said, okay, if we want to build that lifelong relationship with our customers, and if we want to get that stickiness with the brand, we need to move from transactions to journeys. And in order to do that, the only option was to do that digital transformation and basically to build that tech stack that will be data-driven, customer-centric, on which we can build unique experience that will be people-led.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening in our industry today. And I think we're a bit late compared to other industries because we service two customers, the guest and the owner. And the owner is interested in the property P&L, in that silos. And we started, I think, servicing the owner, then servicing the guest on stay. And now we look at servicing the guest in the relation they have with the brand.
Yes, indeed. It's a really interesting analogy that we're on that journey just a little bit later and a little bit behind, but maybe we can catch up. Naomi, you have done an impressive job in terms of building a tech stack very rapidly for a hybrid hospitality brand. Tell us about the tech versus the people-led experiences at the other house.
Well, I think I'd start with talking about the brand, which is where we began this conversation, because I think tech is just a component of the brand delivery. There's been a lot of talk about brands today, and also talk about the fact that a name is not a brand, and there are a lot of large hotel groups that have a lot of hotels with different names. But brands are all to do with how you interact with a brand, how you feel about it, what it says about you, how you identify with it. Does it say the things about you that you want it to say about you? And a little bit, my background originally was in advertising, and I was a director of Saatchi & Saatchi, and then morphed into property, which was my absolute passion. But the one thing I've always been absolutely kind of fundamentally informed about is, what does the consumer want? That is what we're delivering. We're delivering a product that the consumer wants, that they relate to, and that they feel good about using. And that is kind of the most fundamental element of any hospitality offering, as with any offering, whether it be a chocolate bar or a bottle of vodka. So the whole brand ethos and what the brand stands for is fundamentally important. And for us, we have a number of different brand pillars. So we obviously want people to feel at ease and at home. And interestingly, the conversation about a bed in the middle of the room, one of the fundamental things about hotels is you go bathroom, bed, and then there may be a sofa. But the way we live at home is we always go through our sitting room to our bedroom. And if you come from a residential mindset, which is where I did, that is absolutely fundamental. Sitting, living area, we have a kitchenette, and then into the bedroom area, because that is actually how you live. And it's those little touches, those little brand touches, which are really important. But as well as feeling at home, we wanted to give people great experiences. And we've talked a lot about experience and the fact that people travel to see and feel different things. And that may be the experiences within the actual offering in terms of the interior design, in terms of different ambiances. It's enabling them to go into the locality. So that's really important. Sustainability is really, really important. And again, we've talked about the fact that people will make their choices on whether a property is now genuinely sustainable, not greenwashing, but actually walking the walk as well as talking the talk. And there is also the tech element. And I think in a way we over-exaggerate the tech element in terms of there's a whole generation, there are a whole 2 or 3 generations for whom tech is completely automatic. It is part of their life. What they do on their phone it's just automatic. So it's no big mindset or cultural change for them to use tech, and we are launching an app which takes them through the whole journey from obviously booking, checking in, mobile key, but right down to seeing how busy the gym is, how much energy we're using, all of those kind of things. And you don't have to use it. If you're one of these people who is tech phobic, we have what we call the analog version, which is just normal human interaction. But there are a lot of people who don't want to do that. And then we have the whole tech stack, which is behind the scenes. And we have been lucky enough because although we've been working on this concept of slow travel, flexible stay, tech for the last 10 years, we only actually started making the project real in 2019. And what we've done from a tech point of view is to integrate every single system that we have behind the scenes. And that started with Muse. We selected Muse as our PMS because we could integrate everything else with it. And around that, we have integrated every other system behind the scenes so that we have a constant flow of information to our property management system, which tells us all about the guest and all the information we need for them, and in the other way to the financial system. And we don't actually need any human interaction between that. We don't have post-it notes or whiteboards. We have a continuous information flow. And that has been an absolutely massive enterprise. And when I started moving from a residential background to hospitality background, I thought there'd just be one system that did all these different things. And we started trying to look for the person that was going to provide this one system. And it doesn't exist. And we've been very lucky because we have only started 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago, and we've been able to build it up. We have no legacy systems. But that has been an enormous enterprise. And I think what we have is something very special. And then that feeds into the app. But even building the app, which we want to be absolutely seamless, has been quite difficult because a lot of the integrations don't work as well as you think they're going to do when you start. But fundamental to this journey, I have to say, has been Muse, which was our initial decision-making tool from which we have expanded. So tech is really important, but it certainly doesn't mitigate for high touch. And what tech does is to enable those mundane tasks, those boring tasks, the things that people don't want to talk about, they don't have to, so that you can actually have proper interactions, proper adult, grown-up, sophisticated interactions, rather than the mundane or kind of faux politesse that most people are really not wanting anymore. So tech is vital, but it's only one component of your brand delivery.
Well said, well said. Christina, tell us, how is the Romantik Hotels experience in terms of tech and people?
Yeah, well, we have heard already a lot about it, and Naomi already introduced the theme quite good. And as we said, so technology is always the thing that builds the background. So we have technology in the background to help hoteliers to save time, to get in touch with the guests and with their employees, and to keep up the business. And then we have technical stuff in the background to get in communication with the guest, of course, which is your part as well. And yeah. On the other hand, then we have the point where we need to get in touch with the guests on a personal level, and this can be done, for example, through communication. That's something that we did with a campaign which we called Explore Romantik, and this was built to really point out the uniqueness of our hotels, because every hotel is really unique and individual, so you cannot find the same. And
the preferences,
and to really point out the experiences that you can have in between the hotel. And that was something completely new for the hoteliers, because they just do their day-to-day business, and they really had not been aware that this is really something special when they take out guests, for example, for fishing. So, well, you can join me, just come around. And that's why we said, okay, well, this is special, and we wanted to point it out. And of course, we took technology to do this campaign and to get in touch with the guests and to stay in touch. But on the other hand, then we brought the guest into the hotel to experience really what is this the specialty. And you can say that high tech is what creates the value, but on the other hand, we have the high touch, which really is more valuable afterwards then.
Good, thank you for that. Simon.
Yeah, I was also, so obviously, like, I'm a fan of Muse and, the guest journey, online check-in, payment, housekeeping app, all that stuff. So, of course, enabling our hotels with that great technology. But we also, on the flip side, have hotels that look at, especially the guest experience, to deliberately remove technology or deliberately move phones. I mean, we see a lot of people taking the TV out of the room as well because they don't want that deliberately as an experience to remove that, or even leaving the phone in the room and disconnecting actually and enabling that much more as well. So that's also an element where it comes in handy, of course. We want to enable it, but not in those instances. And I think from an experience perspective, I think there's more interesting things probably that you can create than just using the technology. So I was thinking in preparation of this, I was thinking of the most kind of fun thing that there is at the moment in our hotels, which is a new hotel in Mexico that we have. And there you can drive with an ATV or a Ducati like motorbike on the beach or through the jungle like that. So I think like online check-in doesn't really keep up with that when you think of having a really fun experience somewhere like that, right? As much as helpful it is as it is.
Exactly, but you've got to mix the memorable with the technology as well. It is about, at the heart of this is, when do the people lead with the experiences, and when do you let things be automated to let the brand shine?
Sure, exactly. And I think one place which is really critical, where I think why you would use technology, is in-stay reviews or in-stay checking if the stay is okay. Because in my experience, when I have a not good experience in a restaurant, for example, and the waiter asked me, how's your food? I would always say, yeah, it's fine, and I'll never come back, right? So I think being a bit more anonymous, to be like, well, I give you a yellow and a not smiley face, or a red, you will give you more honest feedback in a digital space than in the face-to-face. I think we're too polite to voice our critique, I think. So I think the technology can be really helpful of getting a real answer from our customers.
I'm going to move to our next question, which is about measuring success. And Simon, I'm going to stay with you just to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
The question is, how do you measure success for the brand? And not just in terms of revenue, but also outcomes, guest outcomes, experiences. So how do you measure success?
That's a tricky. That's a
you want
tricky
me to come
one
back
there.
To you? I can.
Yeah, I think. I mean, to us, it's looking at also again going back to the owners, which is on the one hand, of course, we have our customers who are Design Hotels customers, but we are in the end also a business-to-business organization, right? So that's why we see a lot of hotels starting with one individual hotel and then growing within Design Hotels to becoming small chains like that, which is a really good thing that over years and decades even like people stay with us and trust in our services. So I think that's a really fundamental way of people being happy with the overall.
Is there a characteristic of those properties that are most successful within the portfolio?
I can't give you a real good answer right now, actually.
That's all right. That's okay too. That's okay
exactly.
too.
A characteristic of maybe.
And Christina, I would ask the same of you. What is the measurement for success for Romantik hotels in terms of brand experience? What kind of outcomes are you looking for?
So we are definitely looking at quality. And Simon said before that we are quite shy to give our or to give a concrete answer directly, face to face, but we see that we are still on the stage where people interact virtually in online reviews. So online reviews definitely build some kind of ground for measuring quality and success, and we have clear characteristics that we build up and want to see in our hotels. And if we see scores underneath a specific value, we get in touch with the hoteliers and get into interaction. Okay, what's happening? How can we help? But of course, we have as well things like mystery guesting. And it all starts already during the acquisition and the onboarding process. so that we really can make sure that the quality level is the one that people expect when they travel within our brand.
So you're really keeping an eye on those reviews.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the same, it sounds like, for design hotels as well. Naomi, how are you measuring success at this early stage?
Measuring success in a number of different ways. Obviously, if we're not looking at financial success, we're looking at developing a brand, developing a concept that people really understand. As I say, we've called it a residence club. It is for people who want to live like a resident. And our success is to actually restructure the hospitality market. And instead of having the hotel, the service department, the long stay rental, that we do mash it all together. Success is changing the way the hospitality market is looked at. It's changing the way people have always done it. So to have this hybrid model where people can actually come and stay for a day or a year, that in itself is a success story. And I know that there are going to be many other people that follow. And that is, of course, competition. But on the other hand, what it means is that we have set a trend up within the central London market, which we will roll out internationally to other globally comparable cities where you have both corporate and leisure stayers. We will have created a new sector within the market. To me, that is success, but also success is to do with being true to our brand values, in which I mentioned is the sense of place, the great experiences. We're cool, we're chic. We want to be for people in the know. We want people to feel that they've discovered a secret gem, that we're not just kind of mass market or corporate, but we're something very special and intriguing. And what was amazing to me when we opened on July the 1st, 2022, I could see, because I've been working on the project so long, I knew all the space allocations, I knew all the interior design, I knew exactly what it was going to look like. But what I didn't know is what its personality was going to be. In fact, I hadn't really thought about it. And when we opened the doors on July the 1st, it had its own personality, this rather sophisticated, rather laid back, rather independent kind of feel. And success is also maintaining that kind of feel as well. And then the whole sustainability element, that is success for us. Success and sustainability is really important. The way we build and we build better, the way we operate and we operate better, and everything that we're doing in terms of recycling and low waste and meeting all sorts of wonderful criteria such as GRESB and BREEAM and following the CREM pathway, that's all really important. So being sustainable and making our contribution to the planet is really, really important as well. And also to make people feel better and feel better about themselves. So we have a wonderful well-being area within our club, and that can be going from yoga to having the biggest gong in Europe for sound baths, or indeed to astrology or tarot card reading, but all of that spiritual well-being as well. And our bar is called the Owl and Monkey, and I think you probably visited the Owl and Monkey.
I've been to their bar once or twice, just to make sure it was okay. I can explain the brand experience is superb.
It's a destination cocktail bar, and it's very much to bring the residents from the local community in as well. And it's called the Owl and Monkey for a very good reason, because we see our guests as being people who care about the planet, care about social environmental sustainability, who are wise, but they're also curious. They're also always looking for new experiences. So they're curious as a monkey, wise as an owl, curious as a monkey, and they can be 25 years old or 95 years old. But if we deliver that particular proposition, then again, I measure that as success. And finally, just on a quantitative basis, our aim is that 50% of our room nights will be for people staying 1 night to 2 weeks, and the other 50% will be people staying 2 weeks to 2 years. That is our business model, and that will also be success. And also repeat stayers. What we found is that during COVID, so many people moved out to the country, but now they need to come in 2 or 3 days a week. So we have a new package called Stay As You Choose. You can buy 25, 50, or 100 nights across the year at a discounted price, and you can choose which nights you stay in a year. So all we're doing is we are trying to meet the needs of people living in a different environment where work and home is flexible, where people maybe want to work at home but not work in the home, where they want to be flexible. And all of those things are the things that we are looking to meet and deliver to. So those are really the quantitative measures of success in terms of user profile, and their qualitative measures of success in terms of what our brand pillars are. And I hope that we do create a new sector. In fact, I don't hope, I know we will, a new sector within the marketplace.
Well, I have to say, it is something I've heard time and time again about the number of people who've moved out of the city during the pandemic, but need to commute back in on a regular basis and stay overnight on a regular basis and are looking for something just like that. Not easy to do in terms of bookable services, but if you can put it together, for sure, the people are there. I'm going to come over to Rami on the brand side in terms of how you're measuring success, and then come over to you, Pascal, with a different question. But Rami, how are you measuring success both in the Lifehouse portfolio, but also in your own management company?
Yes, they're not too dissimilar. Our owners are our fundamental customers, and to your point, it's B2B2C, so we have to serve both at the same time. And so you have profitability on one hand and guest loyalty essentially on the other. So for us, it's profitability increases over the prior operator for one, and of course you can look at net RevPAR increases as well. We like to also look at direct bookings. Direct bookings, I think, are a good indicator for how your brand is valued, because people will choose your hotel against these other platforms, even if they're the same price. And so pricing, connecting pricing to the website and to the booking engine all kind of comes this common thread of a guest journey from start to finish. And so, yeah, a few metrics like that. But profitability, sadly, is always the lead.
Again, part of my research process. So go ahead, please.
If I may, because on the brand success side, hearing what you've all said and hearing what customers told us, I think one way to summarize it is success will come from the fact that guests will ask for more connection with the brand. The more they ask to be connected to the brand, this is how we can measure success. And that connection will mean trust. And as soon as guests trust us as a brand, it means that they're willing to share more data in order to have a better service, a better experience. And I think that, getting back to what you said, is that the reason why it's such an important shift for our industry is that once we have that trust, that data, it means direct sales, it means higher margin, because something we can very well do, each of us, once we know the customer, and that OTAs are less good at doing, is personalized services. OTA, they're more into the mass market. They can do one price, one room, but they don't know the guest. As brand, once we start knowing the guest, we enter into that long-term relationship, and we get that repeat business you were talking about, and we get it direct.
It's a really good point that I was going to come to you with, which is if you look at some of the other industries, retail as an example, repeat purchases is one of the major measurements of success. And looking at how many people come back again is also a metric of success for that reason, for the trust, for knowing what the experience is and being able to measure it. It's loyalty, ultimately, isn't it? It's not points, it's loyalty. Yeah. Yes, exactly that. We have time for maybe one more question, and then we'll go to any questions that are on Slido. And I would say, what are you getting excited about in the theme of big bets, but in the area of brands and creating remarkable brand experiences? What are you getting excited about that you're focused on? Could be any aspect of it, but things that are clearly on your roadmap or on your mind, or that is part of your ambition for the coming year to 2 years. Rami.
Yes, so it's similar to what I've said, I guess, all day. The more we can automate the back office, the more we can enable the folks on the ground to do great things. And so the more time you give them, the better experiences they can create. I get pretty excited about, so again, we're in the small and medium-sized hotels where you can't afford a lot of people. So the more you can automate mundane tasks, and even automate things like central support and stuff like that. I get excited about some of the AI stuff that's coming out, not to jump on the bandwagon, but again, continuing to enable the folks on site and reduce the cost structure.
And Rami, can I ask, like, do you use some kind of middleware then, or how do you is there certain pieces that you connect in a unique way as a data warehouse or something within?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Fundamentally, we leverage data primarily for marketing today, but not necessarily retargeting of existing guests, but actually demand generation. And then two, we don't see a monetization opportunity necessarily, so maybe we should talk offline about how to leverage data to deliver better guest experiences, because all of our hotels are different and they're small, so everything is different for every hotel, which is why we have the heavy reliance on enabling the hotel.
Thanks.
Nice.
Maybe I can continue on the
data.
data.
Yeah, please.
So I will put my tech hat back on. And I think that one thing we may say is that data, because today we've been talking quite a lot about data, connecting the dots and everything, and data is like a gold mine. But like any mine, it's worthless if it's not dug properly. So I think the value is not on the data. Obviously, we need to get the data, so we need to build the trust with the brand to get the data. But the value is how data can be made actionable on purpose. And to get back to what you said, Rami, to help the front of the house people to spend more quality time with the guest. So data is only there to enable a unique experience. So it's kind of a means, it's 100%. Nothing more than that.
That's one of the big bets everybody should be making, indeed. Yes. Naomi, well, you've got properties opening.
Yes. So I've got some kind of practical measures of success, because we opened Covent Garden in 25 and in 24 rather, and Belgravia in 26. And we're looking for another property in central London, probably in the kind of Marylebone area. And then we want to roll out, as I said, internationally. So at the moment, there is a kind of tangible measures of success, which is actually standing up these massive development projects and getting them ready to come to market. Success is also, of course, to do with brand establishment and people knowing about the other house and hearing about the other house. And of course, as you both said, making sure that our guests, our residents, have the most wonderful experience and are constantly providing that positive feedback. And interestingly, 25% of our bookings are repeat bookings. That's very, very pleasing, because it's to do with, obviously, the nature of the kind of offering that we have, and the fact that people genuinely are seeing it as their pied-à-terre for leisure or for work. So those are really important. Of course, the whole back of how operational efficiency is also a success. We've worked incredibly hard to provide this seamless operational system so that we can be more and more efficient, so that we can actually spend our time doing the interactions we do want to do with our guests. And I suppose the other measure of success, which so many people have already talked about today, is making it a wonderful environment for the team that work for us, to make them feel valued, to give them career opportunities, because I think for so many it's that idea of being able to progress, which is so important, and to make sure that they are fully involved and fully interactive. And one thing I would mention, which, having heard from, listened to other speakers, that this kind of fear of tech, I suspect, comes more from the kind of management level, because what I find is that with all our people on property, there is no fear of tech, and they are very, very able to adopt new systems. But they are the heartbeat, they are the lifeblood of what we offer. They're the lifeblood of the guest experience when it comes down to it. And so that will be a measure of success when we deliver that too.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Christina, where are you guys excited about for the future? What are you going to take a big bet on?
Yeah, well, first of all, we have the point of communication so what we've definitely done and will do in the future is that we've invested a lot of time and budget into communication and to change the way that people look at the name of the brand, because we carry the name that we carry. So, and there are a lot of cliches around that name, and that's something we have already worked on and changed our way in how we communicate, but we still go on and on and on and improve even more. And on the other hand, we have that point of data when we speak about the customers. So we try to get the data out and as many touch points as we can and lead them into our CRM to be able really to stay in touch and get in touch with the guests and deliver them with the information that they really want to have and that they deserve.
Great. Super interesting to be focused on the CRM and the communications. Simon, how about for design hotels?
Exactly. So I think we do have a bet on like sustainability, and I think another term that I want to throw in is like purposeful travel is something that we're looking at as well. So we have a new hotel in Indonesia as well, which is quite a deserted place. There's not so much there, so it's a huge responsibility also to open up new hotels there and how you deal with the communities there and giving people a purpose to travel, actually. Because if you think of our old way of travel, like, I mean, not that I mind being at the pool and drinking a few daiquiris, but, there's no purpose really in that. So I think the future is also that people are quite bored with doing that if there's no real reason and purpose to do that. So that's a thing from an experience perspective that I think hotels should be enabling, that you can learn things in education or really also go back to like more human things as well, right? So even helping, like for example, this Indonesian hotel that didn't have enough resources to actually bring food there, so they created their own farm, so you can even participate in the farming or in the olive oil harvest of a hotel in Italy. So those types of experiences really give you a sense of belonging and participating in that community as well.
That sounds amazing. That sounds truly unique. You'd probably, that's not just a holiday, that's where you come back really changed from an experience like this. Exactly.
Absolutely.
We have just a few moments if everybody, there's several questions. My goodness, here we go. This is also an eye test for me. Besides technology for back office or outside of the stay interactions, how can technology enhance on-site guest interactions and contribute to the brands? Rami.
I'll go for it. So some of the things have been mentioned, but we think in-stay communications are really valuable, not just for a yellow anonymous score to yell at somebody. Our guests are actually pretty vocal. But in-stay communications, I think, is definitely one for sure.
Anybody else have a thought about this?
I think there's also things to communicate about what happens at the hotel. And I think that's another topic about experiences programming on property and really actually offering something on property and then saying, the sunset cocktails are at 5 o'clock or come to this event or this music performance. So really creating experiences but deliberately for the guests, basically. And it's also coming up with new stuff. So I think because sometimes we look at the data, right, and want to target the person that only drinks Rioja. I think there's a bit of too much weight on that a little bit, that we want to, is that person going to drink Rioja forever? Like, I mean, sometimes I want a Rioja, sometimes I'll drink a Chianti, so it's not that, like, I think that sometimes there's a lot of weight on that, where I think the hotels need to come up with just great inspirational experiences themselves in combination of who that person is, of course, but not necessarily in that simplistic way of just serving always the same thing just because I had consumed that product once.
We've got a lot of people who are interested in this question. Have you worked with a failed brand, and what was the reason it failed? I'm glad somebody didn't ask me this question. Anyone?
I think brands there is a notion of time in brand, and the difficulty is for the brand to remain strong over time. Because brand can be appropriate at a certain time and can no longer be of any value and perceived as failed later on. Not to mention a few hotel brands that we may all know of that didn't make the, the lifestyle or the coolness, upgrade, and that are less fashionable nowadays, whereby they were very fashionable like 15, 20 years ago.
I've seen two examples. One is that the product didn't meet expectations. So the product was supposed to be one thing, and it didn't meet the standard. And the second is that the brand wasn't a scalable brand over time. That it managed in an early form, in a small scale, but as they scaled, it lost its purpose. And that was something that came up earlier, is that a brand has to have a purpose, it has to have a reason, and it has to fulfill that. So I have seen that just in previous companies, certainly not at Muse. Do we have time for one more? Maybe one more. To avoid the costs of OTAs, would you be okay to sacrifice more time and energy to chat online with guarantee of a perfect match between you and your guests?
I think you can do it without the time investment. There's great tools out there that can automate revenue management and digital marketing. It's complicated. We've got one in the App Store, but I think there's ways to get direct bookings without having to do all the manual labor.
Yeah, I would say the same. So I think it's all about time in between that question. So if you have someone to really do this, you should do it. But think about technology that is coming up, or not coming up, but already there with ChatGPT. Maybe there is some kind of solution.
Okay.
We've also found...
Please, and then we'll wrap up.
Consumers check a multitude of different sites before they book. There's the billboard effect that I think everyone's familiar with. So have a great website with great content on it that celebrates your brand, and people will convert on your website if you've got a good booking engine as well.
I guess the answer to the question could be brand awareness.
Yes.
If you invest on your brand awareness, it's very unlikely that guests that may contact you direct will not know what to expect from your brand experience.
Well said, well said. Please join me in thanking Simon, Christina, Naomi, Pascal, and Rami. Thank you so much. Thank you.